Okay, Israel, I hope everybody is doing well this Monday. Hope everybody's weekend was productive and positive and good. We're going to go into the class we were supposed to go into last Monday, but as a camp, there wasn't enough of us able to come to class, so we just shut it down for this week. The title of the class today is How Our Malignant Root Manifests Itself with the Brotherhood. We're going to go into 2nd Ezra chapter 3 and kind of recap what we had kind of gone over like 2 weeks ago. It's important that we do that so we set the tone for the message going forward. So let's do this. 2nd Ezra chapter 3 and verse 16.
Done.
We're going to read from verse 16
And that was in the Apocrypha.
down to verse 22. Okay? The Apocrypha, once again, the Apocrypha is Greek for lost books. There's a lot of information that over the histories had been taken out of the original scriptures or just wasn't a part of the original manuscript that was put together or the part of the book that was actually chosen to come together. But let's get this started. We're gonna sit back and take our time with this today. 2nd Ezra chapter 3, verse 16 through 22.
Come. 2nd Ezra chapter 3, verse 16 reads, And unto him thou gavest Isaac, and as for Jacob.
Matter of fact, just do me a quick favor and jump to verse 13. Go back to verse 13, then we go to verse 16.
Verse 13. Now, when they lived so wicked.
He's talking about the people on earth that lived wicked before Abraham came on the scene. When you're reading 2nd Ezra chapter 3, he's kind of giving us a history of the world, a history of how the world operated. Then he goes into the history of the world once Abraham arrives on the scene, Isaac, Jacob, his children, and then the nation of Israel. Kind of gives you a history of the nation from Abraham all the way down. So let's continue.
Come. Verse 13 again. Now, when they lived so wickedly before thee, thou didst choose thee a man from among them, whose name was Abraham.
So the Most High chose Abraham from amongst the rest of the world, and his character, his belief, shined above everybody else. Jump to verse 22. Verse 16.
And unto him thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac also thou gavest Jacob and Esau.
Okay, so he's giving you that family line, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Okay, Jacob and Esau. Well, let's continue.
As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee, and put by Esau.
The Most High is just saying, as this family line sort of spreading out with the children, the Most High stuck with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and not with Esau. And the progenitors in the family line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are the so-called Negroes, so-called Mexicans, the so-called or the indigenous people of North, Central, South America, and the Caribbean islands, and also other dispersed places around the world. It's not just the westernized groups that we talk about. There's Israelites all throughout the world. We're going to the end of the day, though. Let's continue.
And so Jacob became a great multitude.
So the family line of Jacob became a great multitude. These Israelites end up being like the sand of the sea. Let's continue.
Verse 17. And it came to pass that when thou leddest his seed out of Egypt.
So we know about the story of Moses going to Pharaoh and asking to let his people go. That whole process. And eventually the Most High put enough plagues on the Egyptian Pharaoh to let us go. Right? So we left Egypt. We crossed the Red Sea, which was a miracle, to get over to the Arabian Peninsula, to eventually for us to get purged, for us to earn the right to go to the land of Canaan and take our rightful land. Let's continue.
Thou broughtest them up to the Mount Sinai.
Okay, and that was the first major stop that we went to after we crossed the Red Sea, was to go to the Mount Sinai, be taught the laws, the scriptures, and to start learning how to please the Heavenly Father. Read on.
Verse 18. And bowing the heavens, thou didst set fast the earth, movest the whole world, and madest the depths to tremble, and troublest the men of that age.
All this verse is saying is the Most High performed miracles all throughout this time and troubled the men of that age, of that era. Because what they saw, they never forgot, and the rest of the world learned to have a fear of the Most High after that period of time. Because leading up to that time, the people had lost their fear and respect for the Heavenly Father worldwide. Let's continue.
Verse 19. And thy glory went through 4 gates of fire, and of earthquake, and of wind, and of cold, that thou mightest give the law unto the seed of Jacob, and diligence unto the generation of Israel.
All it's saying is the Most High used different forms of communication, different forms that he showed, he displayed his power through fire, through wind. What was the other 2 elements?
It says
earthquakes and cold.
Okay.
He just showed his power and majesty through all of these different forms of how nature operates. When we were at the Sinai, there was earthquakes, there was lightnings, there was storms. This was how the Most High got our attention, to show the world and to show us his power, so we can have a proclivity to respecting him from this point on. Read on.
Verse 20. And yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart.
And this goes to the point of our class. The point of the class today and 2 weeks ago was to show us this. With all the miracles, with all the greatness, with all the power that the Most High showed to us, with the law that he gave us, with all the examples of his love he gave us, he still didn't take away our wicked heart, our wicked nature, our wicked inclinations. He never took that away from us, because, and this is why, even to this day, we fall short, many of us, of even measuring up to the Most High's happiness. When we're going to class today, and we went into the last 2 weeks ago, were just little indicators and little examples of what we have to fight inside of us if we want a fighting chance of pleasing the Heavenly Father. The first thing you have to understand is that a wicked heart was never taken from us, even with the law. So a lot of us in Israel know the law, can sit back and recite the law backwards and forwards, but lack a loving heart and lack the capacity to fix the wickedness inside of them. This is why our school always teaches and emphasizes the importance of the inner man and working on the inner man and fixing the garbage inside of us that really disconnects us from the Heavenly Father. So, the Most High gave us instructions, he gave us laws, but on top of that, he didn't take that wicked heart away. Why? Because we have to earn our right to get to the kingdom. When Adam fell, when Adam sinned, his sin and his failure meant everybody's going to have to work to sit back here and earn their opportunity to get to the kingdom. You're going to have to fight this contrasting pull inside yourself. Because all of us have a desire to do good. But we also equally or even greater have a desire not to follow the rules and not to obey the Lord's ways. And that dynamic is everything. That dynamic supersedes the law. Because if you can't break that evil in you, the law doesn't mean anything. So, let's continue.
Verse 20 again. And yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart, that thy law might bring forth fruit in them.
So now he says, since the Lord didn't take that wicked heart from us, the intention was for us to fight, overcome what's inside of us, so that the law would actually bear fruit in our life. The only way the law was going to bear fruit is if we learn the capacity to overcome that wickedness and to control that evil that's inside of each and every one of us. Right? Let's continue.
Verse 21. For the first Adam, bearing a wicked heart,
Listen,
transgressed.
if the scripture is saying there's a first Adam, then we also know there's a what?
Second Adam.
There's a second Adam. We'll go into that later. But the first Adam, which is the Adam that we know, whose wife was Eve, he did what?
Transgressed, and was overcome, and so be all they that are born of him.
The unfortunate reality is, since Adam fell, each and every one of us have continued to fail. Each and every one of us have fallen short of the Most High's expectation. Now that we understand that there's wickedness in us, and that this wickedness that the Lord never took out of us is still in there now, that lets you know, as nice of a person as you are, you're still a dirtbag in your heart.
Yep.
How about that?
Yep.
And that's a major thing to understand. As good-natured as we act like we are, as kind as we claim to be, we all have this darkness and this wickedness in us that has gone unchecked our entire lives. And the reason this wickedness has gone unchecked our entire lives, because most of us haven't even learned the law. The purpose of the law, if we're going to be honest with us, is to reveal how sick we are.
Yeah.
That's what Romans 7 talks about. Without the law, we would have never known how wicked we are.
And how far our mind is from the Most High.
And how far detached we are from the Lord's intention to deal with us. What you going to say?
And just stating, we say dirtbags or whatever the language is, that is selective to per situation. I'm a great guy when I got everything I want. When I have a certain amount of money in my bank account, great guy.
Mm-hmm.
Certain kind of relationship, great guy. Certain kind of consistent routine and a certain amount of sleep hours,
If the conditions
great
are right,
guy. He's a great guy with 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Are you the same person with 3.5 to 4 hours of sleep, 100 degrees sun outside, no rib? Are you that guy? Now
You like, hell no.
I'm this guy. You're this guy in this circumstances. So what does the Most High do? The Most High puts you in different circumstances to show where the true being
and these
is.
different circumstances are predicated about the people the Most High brings you around,
Yep.
your living conditions, the sacrifice that the Lord Christ expects from you. All these different conditions reveal that wickedness that never left you. Okay? So let's continue. And it all started from Adam. Adam's sin. Right? And then ever since Adam, that wickedness has never been rooted out by the Lord. But let's continue.
Verse 22. Thus infirmity was made permanent.
And because that sickness and that wickedness never left us, that infirmity, another word for infirmity, is sickness. That sickness has been made permanent in our spirit. So now, as good as we want to be, that negative is going to be there, and our life is based upon how well and how consistent we can manage staying on top of these negative impulses, these negative feelings, these negative thoughts, this negative outlook that constantly races through your head. There's parts of you that wants to think positive, but how long can you hold on to positive thinking? How long can you sit back here and look at the good in something? How long can you sustain that without a bombardment of negativity that counteracts it? Just explaining that lets you know how unstable our spirit is. And how we're unstable because we gravitate more to the left-hand side than the right-hand side. So, with that being the case, let's continue. Read verse 22 again.
Come. Thus infirmity was made permanent.
Yep, read on.
And the law also in the heart of the people with the malignity of the root.
So he says that negative and that wickedness is made permanent, and the law in the heart of the people with the malignity of the root. So he's saying now that negative is inside of us, coupled with the knowledge of the law. So this dynamic is where everybody who knows who they are, as far as their nationality, this is the issue. You know who you are. You get to know you're an Israelite. You learn that you're God's chosen. You're given the law, statutes, commandments. But there it is. That negative's still there. That malignant root. Now, what we went into 2 Mondays ago was breaking down the definition of malignant.
I think we forgot.
When we started, that's why I'm taking my time to go over it. We're breaking down the definition of what malignant is. And once we open that rabbit hole, there we go. A whole lot of information kind of opened up. So let's get malignant in the 1828 again. Right? Come on, man. You know where we're going, man. Let's do it.
Got it.
I know you do. Let's go.
Malignant, 1828.
Put it on right. Put it on right.
Malicious.
Take it off.
Having extreme. Malevolence. Malevolence or enmity as a malignant heart.
So malignant, that malignant spirit that's in each and every one of us. Another word to explain malignant is malicious, having extreme malevolence. 2 weeks ago, we exhausted that definition, that word maliciousness, and we hyper-focused on the maliciousness inside of us. If you want to check it out, we're on YouTube, Sword of Truth, San Antonio. We took a lot of time to explain malicious and how by nature we are hurtful for one another, and what we want, we're comfortable with tearing one another down. Today we're going to focus on the second definition that explains malignity, and that second definition word is malevolence. We're going to go into malevolence today, and explaining that opens up another aspect of how we're sick. So for this week and 2 weeks ago, we're focusing on different elements in us that make us sick, that separates us from Christ, that separates us from the Lord. Because if we don't work on these things, you can know the law back and forth. You can sit back here and follow every Sabbath to a T, and we're the longest friends on earth. If you can't fix this malignity in you, all of your work is in vain. This was why Christ came down, and his message was all about attacking that malignity in us and that evil heart in us. Because what we did as Jews, we sat back here and went through all the routines and rituals and never understood what the message was really supposed to be about. So, we're going to go into the definition of malevolence, and this malevolence is going to kind of expand out into additional words. So let's get malevolence real quick.
Malevolence, 1828, Webster's Dictionary. Ill will.
So listen, once again, the spirit behind having a malevolent spirit is that what's inside of us, we have a natural ill will towards one another. We have a natural hatred towards one another. But how is that hatred or ill will manifested? Let's continue.
Personal hatred.
Personal hatred. But once again, what's crazy about understanding malignity is that we hate each other in many different exquisite ways. That's what's crazy. What's crazy is that our hatred for our people is manifested in our maliciousness towards one another and our malevolence. But let's continue.
Toxic interactions.
Exactly. But this is how we're going to show today how we show that personal hatred. Read on.
Evil disposition towards another.
So it says malevolence is an evil disposition. Now, disposition means constitution of your mind. So he says naturally, what's in all of us is an evil constitution of mind. So we look at people in the worst possible way. And this is our sickness that we're going to have to learn to attack. As we continue in class, we're gonna learn how we sit back here and have an evil disposition, how we look at each other evil. Okay? Continue.
God. Enmity of heart, inclination to injure others.
So I'm not going to focus on the inclination to physically hurt one another, but there's a lot of us who enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us who like to put hands on people and hurt people.
Yeah.
But we're not going to focus on that element of our sickness. And there are a lot of them in jail, waiting to put hands on other people. It's the truth.
Yeah.
In jail, they're looking for a reason to put hands on you and to hurt you.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
My mama, whoa, nobody said anything about your mama.
You looked at me.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
looking at me?
Listen, there is malevolence there. We're not going to focus on the violent side of that. We're going to focus on something that's more realistic to us. Because we're saying, I'm a lover of the fighter. I ain't trying to kill nobody. I ain't trying to hurt nobody. We're going to show today how there's malevolence in each and every one of us. So, we explain that this malevolence, what we're going to focus on is the evil disposition that constantly fuels us to see the worst in people. That's what we're going to focus on today. Because I don't care who you are in this room and online, it's in our nature to size people up and to evaluate and see the flaw. That's our nature. And that is the basis of what makes us human. Is that it's very difficult to see the good and it's very easy to see the bad. And that dynamic is what separates us from the Most High. The fact that it is a challenge to sit back here and find the good in your husband, find the good in your wife, find the good in your brother, find the good in your relationship with your boss, see the good in your circumstances. There's heavy difficulty in our nature, in our people. We're going to sit back here and use a couple different words to explain it. Because what happens is our disposition is constantly fueled by seeing the worst in people. And the more we see the worst in people, the more we're justified not to do what? Respect you. Not to respect you. Not to follow orders.
So are you saying that?
Not to comply. Not to work in harmony. Because it gives an answer to a lot of the issues in our school. A lot of the issues in our marriages. The issues in our marriages and amongst brotherhood and sisterhood is, if you can't see the good in the people you work with, how can these relationships be positive? How can they be fruitful? How can there be this advancement of the nation? This is what a lot of times I kind of chuckle when I hear about the unity. The unity. It's a slogan, huh? It's like, remember when you saw Obama and it was hope on the stamp? He said that. Hope. It was hope for big business. It wasn't hope for black people. It was hope for corporate America. They got the hope. But when I look at hope, when I see Obama, when I hear unity with the Jew, it makes me laugh too. Because how are we going to teach unity until we get to see that our whole nature is anti-unity?
Yeah.
The nature of our people is against unity. How can you be about unity if you can't see the good in the people you work with? If you can't see the light in them? If you are programmed to see the weakness? And most of the time, we're programmed to see the weakness and we use the weakness to justify the lack of submitting. The lack of working with somebody. The lack of building with somebody. That's our nature. And we're gonna prove it as we continue to go through class. So, let's go to Proverbs chapter 9 and verse 8.
Proverbs chapter 9, verse 8.
Yep. So now listen, when you sit back here and you're going through the scriptures, you only get that malevolence a few times. But the way malevolence is explained throughout the scriptures, different words are used to still explain that malevolent, evil disposition that we have towards one another. And one of the words that you see often pops up that helps explain an evil disposition is the word scorner. So we're going to sit back here and go on deep dive into scorner so we can really understand what that means. Because a lot of times when you think of scorner, it's hard to really place what scorner means. Hard to put that word together in an applicable situation. So let's do this. Proverbs 9 and 8.
Proverbs chapter 9, verse 8. Reprove not a scorner.
So the Most High says, you better not check a scorner. Don't correct the scorner. Why? Why is the scorner the person you don't want to correct? Now, first of all, correction is supposed to be good. It's supposed to be what?
Never out of season.
Never out of season. It's supposed to be the best thing you can do with your people is to correct them, to save them. But the scripture says you better not correct the scorner because of what?
Reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee.
But he says a scorner is going to hate your guts. So think about your life and the truth. The people that you work with every day, the wife that you lay with, the husband that you work with, and ask yourself, when they get corrected, how do they respond? Because hate comes out in different ways. Yeah. The first thing, why would a person who's a scorner hate you? To answer that question, let's define scorner. Now what I did is I blended the definition in the 1828 online application and the Webster's Unabridged dictionary too. Okay? So the first definition I have is from the Webster's Unabridged. Scorner. Open or unqualified contempt or disdain. A person who's a scorner is unjustifiably hateful. Why is that? I don't have a real reason why I can't stand this guy. But in my head, the little things he or she does, I make him way more bigger, so I don't got to follow him. Because that's really what a scorner is. A scorner lacks the ability to see the good in you, to see the good in your message, to see the good in your life. All they see is the worst. They see the worst in the person that they work with every day. So when that person corrects them, they hate them. But I said, why does a person hate a person who corrects them? Because all they're focused on and consumed with is their hypocrisy. Yep. Is their, let me be more clear, unqualified idea of what hypocrisy is. They'll have an idea of what they think is just in their head, and it's wrong. And they'll sit back and look at a person and deem them off, or deem them weak, or deem them not validated to check them. So then when the correction comes, what comes behind that correction? Hatred.
Yeah.
It's hatred. It is pride, but the pride is fueled by hate. But the hate is there because you can't see the good in the person around you. All we're doing all damn day long is sizing one another up. And the spirit of sizing one another up is just fuel and justification not to be obedient. And that is evil. That is malevolent. That is inside of us. While we're sitting back here focusing on the Sabbath and wearing fringes, we're not working on that. That's the real reason we're detached from the Heavenly Father.
I don't like how you pronounce your words. Therefore, because the way you pronounce your words, I deem not fit, then I reject your
message. What do you think camp banging is all about? What do you think Israelites going to war with other Israelites about? I just see the flaw in you, and that's why I don't gotta see the good in you. You can see that on a national level. You can see it on a regular Wednesday when we're working. Because I see your flaw. Now I don't have to respect you. Isn't that Israel? That's everybody in this Mickey Ficky room. Yeah, Mickey Ficky's an old one.
91, 92.
That's before that. That's in the 70s, Zach. That's when Cutie Pie was. Well, that's the 80s. Whatever. You get my point. What am I saying? What I'm saying is that is malevolence. That scorning mindset. It says unqualified or really unjustifiable contempt. What we sit back here and deem as unacceptable is not justifiable enough for you to have the level of hatred in your heart towards the person that you work with. Yes.
I have this definition I wanted to read.
Okay.
It was scorn in the
I haven't even finished all of it. So, but keep
Okay.
going.
I think that's one.
I haven't got to contempt yet.
It says scorn, extreme contempt, that disdain which springs from a person's opinion of the meanness of an object, and a consciousness or belief of his own superiority or
Yes.
worth.
That's how we think. We sit back here. Our nature is to work with people, smile in their face, and create a database, a Negroid database
Of dislikes.
of dislikes and
And
weakness in people and shortcomings to justify why I don't have to be obedient or to sit back and pull good from you. This is what Israel does. But we'll call ourselves brothers. We'll say we're all about the unity. We'll go to every gathering and be the most brotherly and sisterly of all of us, but we can't sit back here and stop measuring people up and seeing how flawed they are to make yourself feel better. Because what's the purpose of constantly breaking down and micro-assessing every weakness of somebody else? You know, it's crazy. I hear it all the time in counsel. People will sit back here and bring up flaws of other men from 3 and 4 years ago. Yeah. And they keep it data logged. Yeah. And those data log references, I bet the Jew will have it on a PowerPoint presentation if you ask them. They will sit back here and break down to the T all the flaws, all the hypocrisy, all the weakness to justify not accepting being told they got to change what's inside of them.
And it's unrelated.
Because that's what the scorner is. Yep. He said if you check a scorner, they're going to hate you. But why are they going to hate you? Because they have calculated so many issues in you. You're not worthy enough to check me. Yep. Then, brother, I just got to walk off, cool off. I'm just so frustrated. Why are you that? Like the definition, why are you that unqualifiedly contempt at this person?
You were just told to tie your shoes.
Yeah.
You were told, hey, you got to tie your shoes. Mm-hmm. We can't be over here in the situation without our shoes tied. Yeah. That is a technical check.
And then all of a sudden, I'm bringing up everything I saw in you as long as I've known you. I'm bringing up every flaw, every issue, every weakness, every negative you've done.
I saw when you ate that chicken right there, and that piece of chicken, and you was talking, and a spit came out your mouth. And you didn't see that, but you're going to see my shoes not being tied.
Brother.
Those are exact scenarios that Israel does. Unrelated scenarios, unrelated details, ticky-tack details that are largely unrelated.
To justify why you don't have to be obedient. Because that's ultimately what it is. And that's the nature of our people, and that is that evil disposition. Or that evil constitution of mind. What is constitution? How you're made up. How your mind is put together.
It's a structure of thinking.
And the structure of our thinking is to sit back here and break people down in our own thwarted mindset so we don't have to obey. That is one of the number one sicknesses of our people.
It's for the purpose of liberty.
It's for liberty and a justification so I don't have to be tuned into how to fix me. Mm-hmm. I don't have to be accountable because I see everything you do.
Escape card, I see you.
Yes.
When it's my time to be on the stage and the light's on me, I'm going to talk about 1988.
Yes. Wow. And I'm angry as hell. And that definition of that scorner is unjustifiably angry. Why do you have this level of anger towards this? We weren't supposed to eat till 3. He ate at 2:30. And he's checking me about me sitting back here and leaving the cart too long. What the heck is this? Those two don't even match. you're getting checked at the zone or at the work zone about the pace of your work. And then the other person snaps at you about some stuff completely unrelated. And then, what does the other person's flaw have to do with your obedience? Right is right and wrong is wrong. Well, the reason is because you're a scorner. And this is why good old Solomon said, if you check a scorner, you're going to get yelled at and hated. So all these reports we've gotten about snapping at brothers and these crazy arguments at the zone, now you know what you are. You're not godly and you're not justifiable. You're not justified to snap at anybody. How about that? Let's continue. Let's go back. Matter of fact, let's continue in the definition of scorner. Now, the one I got from this 1828 book, it says, open or unqualified, unjustifiable contempt or disdain. The other word that really hits is a contemner. 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 And that's an older word.
It's a medieval term.
It's an older term.
For common people.
Yeah.
Listen, it wouldn't be in the Bible if it wasn't thousands and thousands and thousands of men like this.
Yes, it's a lot of them.
It's not like we're saying,
this thinking comes to die. But that's why we have to take our time to explain scorner. The scorner self, a contemner. All these words are everyday people's issues. And it explains the hatred in us. It explains the different dynamic that we show hatred for one another. A lot of us pride ourselves on brotherhood. We pride ourselves on being the most brotherly, sisterly people you can be. But if you're sitting back here and you're constantly dialed into seeing the weakness of somebody, you're not the brother or sister that you say you are. You're a liar. You have nothing but hatred in your heart. And instead of sitting back here and looking at the mote in somebody else's eye, now this starts making sense. Take the beam out of yours. Because we are wired to sit back and ultra hyper focus on the little things in other people, but we overpass how deathly disconnected we are to the Lord.
And you know the truth of that. There's truth in that. Because when you reverse the circumstances and people pull up your 1988s, you said that was a long time ago.
But why am I being
You're
judged
such
on
a logical guy.
Why are you judging me on that? That's not Christ-like.
Yeah, Israel's so logical. I'm a baby in this.
I didn't know.
I was a little boy from Georgia. All these stories.
I was about to spit juice out of my mouth.
These are things brothers really.
You should have said little boy. You should have gave the
I was a little boy from Georgia. I didn't know no better. I didn't know better.
I was sick. I was lost, and now I am found.
You're judging me. I'm talking about Jesus.
I was lost, and now I am found.
But you want permission. To be a lawyer, and you want to be a lawyer and collect everybody's negative. But when people pull out your negative, you ain't not meant to hurt nobody. You just want to love the Lord. You want to love people.
Yep.
Or you gotta be fair on both sides.
Kind of.
I can't hypercritically analyze others, and I cannot be critically analyzed myself. That is hypocrisy.
And it's important to take our time to explain this, because we'll just overshoot it and not take the time to see this is an aspect of that malignant root that the Lord never took out of us. And since He didn't take it out of us, we're not judging you and saying you're the devil. But if you don't know what your problem is, how are you going to fix it? How are you going to use these scriptures to fix what's inside of you if it's not shown to you that this is a sickness and this impediment disconnects you from the Spirit? Because didn't we read in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1, it says that a malicious spirit, wisdom will not enter into it. So all of us that have this mindset, just know the Spirit ain't with you either. And the Spirit of Christ can't work through you if this is inside of you. So it is imperative to fix this. If you don't fix this, you're not growing. Which lets us know we can get as academic as we want in the Bible. If you don't fix this negative outlook, none of that none of that academic virtue matters. All that intelligence doesn't matter. All the God intelligence doesn't matter if I can't see the good in the people around me. So, we're going to get to the definition of contemn. CONTEMN, which is a word that explains what a scorner is. To contemn means this: to despise. But once again, to despise is the first part of the first definition. But how do we despise people? To despise is this: to consider and treat as low and despicable. That's how we despise and hate one another. It's how we view our people. And this goes for the ranking man or the young man. If the ranking man can't see the good in the young man, he's a scorner. He's a contemner. This goes above rank. There's a lot of brothers in the camp, in the school, that look at other brothers as if they are beneath them.
Yeah.
That's for brothers who have rank and look down on the young men or the sick. That's the contemner. The scorner is the one that can't take correction from the person above because they've sat back here and taken the time to see all the flaw to justify a lack of obedience. The sickness is both ways. Because the contender, all they do is despise, but they despise by looking down to treat people as if they are mean, below, subordinate. This was the issue with our nation in the Bible from the beginning. One of the issues with Israel is that we sat back here and carried ourselves with the spirit of classism.
Yeah.
That happened way back in the day. The kings and the princes despised the regular people, despised the poor, treated them wrong.
Before racism.
Before there was classism. And that was happening from the time of the kings all the way till Christ. Because the sickness has always been there. The exploitation of the weak. The looking down on the weak. The hatred of the weak. For the fact that you acknowledge them as weak is sick. That you can sit back here and make them less than. You lose respect because of their flaws. None of us have the right to lose respect for one another because of whatever flaws you see in them. I'm going to explain that and give more detail to that. But right now we're just trying to educate the understanding of what contempt is. The other definition of contempt is to slight. How many times do we sit back here, not acknowledge of the good of the person over you, but you slight them by seeing how off they are? How many times that happened? That is what a slight is. I'm not going to focus on the good, the accomplishments, the dedication, whether it's with a wife at home. I can focus on everything you don't do right, but I don't take the time to appreciate the good. Whether it's husbands to wives, wives to husbands, half of the reason marriages fall apart is because we're constantly slighting one another. We're like, yeah, she does this right, but she ain't doing this.
Yep.
Yeah. He's cool. He's serving the Lord. He ain't smoking dope. But you know what? He's not doing this. And I'm unhappy. Isn't that how we think? We lack the capacity to see the good, hold on to the good, and be appreciative that there's good right in front of us. Because we're more hyper focused on what we don't get or the flaw that we see than focus on the good that's in front of us and the good works that have been produced. The entire relationship. And because we think that way, is proof that we're hateful. And we're selfish. And the Lord ain't really with us. So when you sit back here and you think about how jacked up your life is or how difficult it is, understand that your thinking is one of the major reasons behind the difficulties in your life. until you learn to grasp the capacity to see the good in the people that the Lord brought in your life, how do you expect the Most High to look at you glowingly? How do you expect that? That's the hypocrisy. For all the hatred that's in your heart, how do you expect the Most High to look at you differently? And there's a verse to prove that it's coming. Okay, once again, the second definition of contempt is to slight or to treat as of little importance. Which, what does that mean? Instead of sitting back here and respecting the good and respecting the good works, you sit back here and slide over the good and focus on the mistake. Focus on the 2 or 3 mistakes that you saw. That resonates stronger with you than the good resonates in you. Because I can tell you this, you're not going to last serving Christ if you can't see the good in everybody around you. You can't last. It's too easy to see the bad. It's too easy. We have to learn to train ourselves to see the good, the love, the positive, the growth, the small mini victories that everybody has accomplished, the small incremental growth versus the glaring obvious negative. If you can't learn that, now you understand why the Spirit hasn't come to you yet. Because it's so important. So, let's continue to slight, to treat as of little importance. Then it says to neglect as unworthy of regard. Because when I'm trying to counsel brothers who have these disagreements, when you sit back here and try to explain to the men or the sisters, hey, this brother or sister has done a lot of good, very rarely do you get a response, Khan, you're right. I'm looking at this wrong. What you get is, yeah, but this person did this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear it. Look at all the wickedness this person has done. Let me tell you all the things they've done wicked. I've got this list right here that I sat back here and printed up and copied on FedEx paper. Not FedEx, but Kinko's paper. It's the Kinko's document that I sat back here and printed up about all the evil that they've done. That's what we do. Then we start cussing and moving around, and we can't control our body emotions. We just sit back here with like, why are you so angry? Why are you turned up? It's one thing to say, hey man, this was wrong. When men start blowing up, they've lost it. Why have you lost it? Because you've been holding this filth in for a long time.
Because you're
like Popeye. It's all I can stand, and I can't stand no more. Like why are you like that?
I can't stand it.
That's what Popeye did. Like he was going through hell, and all of a sudden he's lost it. Where's my canned gross spinach? And I'm just yoked up and just knocking people out. This is the Jew over the phone when I'm hearing him. Why is this dude ready to lose it? If you're ready to lose it, that means you're holding on to hate all day. And I can't stop snapping. I'm so angry. Like, damn. Why is that anger that warranted? Khan, you've seen flaw. Is it that warranted to be that angry? You're that angry because all you do is focus on the negative, and 2, you don't want to be corrected because you don't respect them because you saw the what? But if you look deep enough, you don't see flaw in anybody. How about that? If you look deep enough, everybody got mistakes. So if everybody got mistakes, nobody should be followed then. This is anarchy then. That's where it leads.
I should be followed.
But my statements matter. And I can look at everybody else and see the worst in them, but woman, you better respect me when I get to the home. And my chicken better be cooked and prepared.
Cordon bleu. It better be cordon bleu.
It better be cordon bleu at?
Yeah, bro.
It's Michelin. What is that? Michelin?
5-star Michelin meal.
Yeah, that.
Because I'm an Israelite man.
Yes.
It doesn't follow.
I am a Jew. But I can sit back here and hate the brothers around me all damn day long, but you better respect me. Because you got to order with the Spirit. Whoa, you got the Spirit guy talking. Because they're so spiritual. But they don't understand what the Spirit is. Because if the Spirit's really with you, You will train yourself through the scriptures how to see the good in the people that you work with. Once again, it just proves that Israel that can't see the good, they're children in the spirit. And you're a scorner. And you're a contemner. So let's continue with this contemner. To slight, to treat as of little importance, to neglect as unworthy of regard, unworthy of respect. Once I've seen enough of your mistakes, now you can't tell me nothing. Isn't that how we roll? Once I've seen you mess up a couple, I give you 2 times. You can mess up twice for me. Don't get to 3. Ooh, I got it. Now I got enough ammunition now. The clip is loaded. Full clip. The full clip. I saw 3. You messed up thrice, brother. Not twice, thrice. I'm going to show a 1, a 2, a 3.
I have to follow.
I got you.
Again.
I ain't listening to nothing. That's the point. So everything this person got to tell you was wrong after 3 mistakes? What kind of craziness is this?
And does the wrong relate?
Yeah, I ain't listening to you, son. Like, damn, why are you talking like that now? I ain't listening to you, son. Well, and now everybody from San Antonio is from New York? Everybody's a New Yorker now. Everybody got Timberlands on out and hoodies out.
They're all of a sudden from Brooklyn.
That's what I'm saying, son. Hey, you a White House, son? You disrespectful, son. Like, damn, why is everybody changing their vernacular all of a sudden?
Or yo, B.
They're saying B and son. Like, what's going on here? You're not even from the East Coast. Why are you talking like you're from the East Coast? Why can't you keep your Southern drawl that you have 95% of the time? Now we're from the streets of New York, the gutters, the slums. Get out of here. That's so. I see. I'm not lying. I've heard more than one person saying this. Their whole voice changes. Their whole octave changes. Their slang changes. Like, what's going on? Right? What is this? I didn't know that scorners, their voice goes to East Coast language when they scorn. Now I know.
The demons from the East Coast. That's the problem. The demons from.
You can't judge the whole East Coast. He said that. He said that. Is an East Coast scorning as an East Coast demon?
I'm just saying. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the demon in particular is from that area because spirits are like frogs.
Come on. Nah, this is Zariah's opinion. This is an opinion.
It's coming from like the slums of Shaolin to San Antonio.
This is an opinion. This is not Wu-Tang wisdom here. Okay. Let's reel it back in. That was good. We got to lighten it up because people were squirming in the chairs a little bit. There was a little squirming out. So, let's go real quick to Josephus, book 12, chapter 5, paragraph 2. This explains what a contemner is in real time. Okay? This explains every definition that we said, and it ties it into how real life people actually acted.
Can I make one point?
Yeah.
In the seventh definition of regard means to attend as to something to influence our conduct.
Mm-hmm.
To attend as to something
you gotta tie that in to
influence our conduct. So when it
says to neglect as unworthy of regard.
Yeah. It says I neglect this person statement to look at them as unworthy of regard. Regard is what? To attend as something to influence our conduct. I don't think what you're saying is worthy to influence my conduct.
Because I've already seen your flaws.
I'm not going to attend this conversation with my mind, with my listening ability, and my ability to absorb what you're saying, because I'm not going to give you that.
Because, I don't think you're qualified to check me. Yeah. I don't think you're qualified to correct me. Because we have unqualified vision. We have unqualified hate. So our unqualified hate motivates us to think that another person is unqualified to correct me.
You're disqualified to influence me in righteousness because I have a 4 or 5 spreadsheet point for point document in my head. that I haven't told you about either. I never actually
It doesn't happen until the argument
I
happens.
never counseled about because if it's such a bad thing,
And then the New
I
York
would have
voice
counseled
kicks
about.
in.
I would have counseled about this 6 months ago, 8 months ago, 2 weeks ago.
If it was really a problem.
But I say I'm so upset. But I'm only upset when you bring up what's wrong with me. So this is what. So what you're saying is that you're going to use this.
I'm gonna look at you and size you up negatively until you check me, and then I'll unleash it on you.
Yeah, because this is how I back people off of you.
Yes.
This is a classic Israelite game.
And this
a
is
classic people
malevolence.
game.
This is malignity, and this is that spirit that's inside of us while we're walking around here tour banging, walking around here acting like we got next. How do you have next if you don't have no love? How do you have next? How are you next to run the kingdom when you're just as black-hearted as the white man is? How about that? If you can't see the good in your people, you're gonna do this. We're gonna rule the same way as we did back in the day.
Let them eat cake.
That's the point.
That was black people saying.
That was black people saying, "Let them eat cake."
They're starving in the streets. Let them have some cake then.
But there's not enough materials for cake.
Who cares? Next topic.
That's the point. But that's us. That's us now. With the law, saying that, now we got the law, we can reverse the curses. How can you reverse the curse with the law if there's still hate in your heart? This is how we keep performing the curses with the law. It's the same thing happening. We keep going through more curses. The husband still leaves the wife in Israel. Is that not true? The wife still stepping out of her husband in Israel. Is that not true?
Yeah.
There we go.
Got the law.
The mother still hates the kids. Is that true? Yes. We're still hateful with the law. That means we're still under the curses. What you got, Naga? Okay, let's read this. Joshua, book 12, chapter 5.
Joshua or Josephus?
I'm sorry, Josephus. I saw the J-O-S. Book 12, chapter 5, paragraph 2. I'll tell you when to stop.
Yeah. Book 12, chapter 5, paragraph 2, line 242. Now Antiochus, upon the agreeable situation of the affairs of his kingdom, resolved to make an expedition against Egypt.
So Antiochus Epiphanes said, I'm going to go ahead. Our country is solid. I'm the king of the north. I want to sit back here and take over Egypt, which is the king of the south. I want to sit back here and gain an advantage and expand my empire. Read on.
Resolved to make an expedition against Egypt, both because he had a desire to gain it.
He wanted it. All of his fathers and his forefathers wanted Egypt. That was a prize from the beginning. That his family had been fighting over it for generations. That's the first reason. Read on.
And because he scorned the son of
No, not scorned. You got scorned?
Yep.
This one, mine says contempt.
Mine's condemned.
Contempt.
Mine's condemned.
Okay, it's crazy. Well, I got the older version, and mine says contempt. Does yours say contempt?
It's the same.
It's the same word, but it's the same word that says the exact same thing. That means the same thing. Whether it's scorned or contempt, it's the same thing. His second motivation to taking over Egypt is that he saw the weakness in the king of Egypt. Yeah.
God. Resolved to make an expedition against Egypt, both because he had a desire to gain it, and because he condemned the son of Ptolemy.
Yours is condemned. Mine is contemned. Is this an older word?
Because you do both. You do both.
But the point is this: he condemned, he contemned, he scorned.
Was it condemning and contemning?
Listen, condemning and condemning. You got to switch.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, dog. Well, the point is this: it's going to explain what it means for Antiochus to contemn Ptolemy. Read on.
As now weak.
He contemned them as weak. That's how you know what a contemning spirit is or a scornful spirit is. I see you as weak because I'm looking for your weakness. This is how our people are. This is how Esau is. This is us too. Our nature is to see the weakness to justify why we don't have to obey you no more. To justify why I'm going to listen. To justify why I can disrespect you. That's what contemning is. So Antiochus contemned the king of Egypt, Ptolemy, as weak, because that's the whole thinking of what scorning is. That's the spirit behind a person who contemns or condemns. All they do is to see the worst in the person that they're working with every day, and that is that malevolent spirit that is in Israel. All we do is see the weakness in one another. Am I lying?
Nope.
It is in our nature. We are experts at finding out your flaw. We are great at gathering reconnaissance and seeing where you're slipping at. And that innate ability that we have is the evil inside of us that we have to learn to break. This is an aspect of why Christ said we have to be fools for Christ. We have to untrain ourselves in the dark arts. That's dark arts, Doc. That's magical dark arts. To sit back here and be skilled in seeing the worst in our people.
I transform a brother that can lift me spiritually, because the Bible says we all have different virtues. I transform this person.
You know what that means? If you're saying that all the brothers have different virtues, what is it also saying?
They all matter.
They all have different weaknesses.
Yeah, different weaknesses.
How about that? But once again, a spiritual minded person is writing it.
Yeah.
So the spiritually minded person is saying, you guys have all different talents in the Lord. The nigga is like, oh man, I see the weakness in this person. I see the flaw in this. I see the flaw in that. I see the weakness in that. I see the evil in that. And how do we think?
Yep.
Do we walk around here saying, man, this is the body of Christ, and there's a lot of good here? I see the brotherhood in this person. I see this person has phenomenal work ethic. I can learn from this person. This guy is charismatic in his spirit. I can learn from this person. Is that how we think? Hell no! You guys are stomping your feet. Hell no! Because it's not true. We're not wired that way. And wonder why the spirit is detached from us. Because it still goes back there into a malicious spirit. Wisdom will not enter it. Because we're wired to see the worst. To justify us not being obedient.
That's what it's really about.
That's the root of it.
That's the motivation.
Because if a spiritually minded person will see the good in everybody and use everybody's virtue to augment what's inside of them. Now everybody keeps pushing themselves. Everybody challenges themselves. Everybody uses everybody's virtue for the benefit of the body. We're not mature enough to do that. Because we're dealing with petty arguments and petty feuds that have nothing to do with growth. Does that make sense? I'm taking my time because that is an issue. This is an issue that's in our nation heavily. This is not just Esau against Esau hating each other and seeing the weakness of one another. We understand he's a cunning hunter. And that cunning hunter has to look for vulnerabilities in his prey. But we do the same thing. We're hunting too.
Because this is the skill of a wicked man.
What do you think hustling is? The definition of hustle. What do you think that means? Hustling is exploitation. Isn't that what it is? What do you think pimping is? What do you think pimping is?
Yeah.
Exploitation. I saw this show about pimps in the 90s, Act. And I'm watching this guy act. This guy sat back here and took one of the girls he had finagled, whatever. And he took her to Vegas in some ratty-ass hotel. And he said, see, baby, I told you I was going to show the world.
Oh.
I'm like, what?
Come on, bro.
You're in Vegas. You're not even like at the Venetian. You're not even at the Mirage, bro. You're on the east side of damn like Vegas side. In some ratty hotel next to the pimp convention.
You look at the lights.
I'm like, what's going on? It's not even at like some top end stuff. He was like, baby, you see, I told you I was gonna show you the world. She was like, you right. I'm like, that's exploitation. You just exploit this person's ignorance and destroy her life because you could. But how do you do that? You find the weakness in a person and you exploit it. Jake just calls it hustling. Okay, finessing.
It's a new term.
Nowadays.
Listen, still. Listen, that's crime.
Hitting licks.
Hitting licks. This is evil. Taking advantage of weaknesses and vulnerabilities in your people.
It's play or be played.
Oh, that's what it is.
That's the law of the jungle, huh?
The jungle is
But
malevolent.
that's the low level jungle. Esau's play be played is
They actually make real money out of it.
yeah.
They actually make
I'm
real
gonna
rich.
exploit you for generations
Yes.
and your children,
Yeah.
and you're gonna like it because I got propaganda. Make you feel good.
Yes, that's the point.
It's not higher quality.
We want to play 3-car money and just hustle you off 3-car money.
Vote for me. Which one you want to vote for? They're both doing the same thing.
Listen, once again, this is bad. This is the issue. Contemning, scorning, condemning. It's all saying the same thing. It's seeing the weakness in somebody, to look down on your people, to exploit them, or to see the weakness in the person you're supposed to pour strength from, to justify a lack of obedience. That's what it is. And you can't get around that. And that sickness is what we read earlier in malevolence, that evil disposition or constitution of mind towards another. The root of it is our lack of ability to see the good in one another and to see the virtue. The same thing. Listen, why are we sitting back here looking so negative when the Lord sees something good in the people? Would you be here if the Lord didn't see anything good in you?
Nope.
Then why do we have the right to sit back and condemn each other? We say no, but we're doing it.
I'm not.
Listen, please,
That's wrong.
don't say that. That's evil.
I'm gonna do it tomorrow.
If I'm having a tough day, this we got to get the point. Let it soak in. Let it soak in. Okay. That's all I want from Josephus. It was that part. Now we're going to sit back here and give another example of how we contemn or condemn or scorn. Let's go to 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 19 through 20. And then we're going to jump to 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 17 through 19. Then we're going to jump a little bit later. So let's do this. 1 Samuel.
First Samuel, chapter 8 and verse 19.
Yep.
Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel.
So what they're saying is this. This is at a point when the people came together and said, you know what, Samuel, you're getting older. We know you're a judge. You did a great thing. But your sons are judging and they're corrupt. So instead of allowing the Most High to continue with this judging system, where the Most High chooses one person to be the go-between between the Most High and the people, we don't like that policy. We want the policy of having a king to rule over us. This is when we approach Samuel and say, we want a king. We don't want to sit back here and have the judges system. So read verse 19 again.
1 Samuel, chapter 8 and verse 19. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel. And they said, nay, but we will have a king over us.
So, this is the Jew. We want a king over us. And why did the Jew want a king over us? Read on.
Verse 20. That we also may be like all the nations. And that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles.
So really, fear was the motivation behind having a king. Because if you know about the time period in Samuel, the Philistines was whipping on us.
Yep.
And these guys was putting hands on us. Sometimes these guys would be 7 feet tall, 8 feet tall.
They were a problem.
These guys were a problem. So listen, we need somebody to fight. Listen, they didn't give a damn about the Lord and Jesus, the Most High. We need somebody who can throw some hands. That's what that was the thinking. Let the king judge us as long as he puts hands and gives us protection. Just like who? Nimrod.
Yep.
Because that's what
That was the council.
it was all. It was like prison rules. The
Yeah.
biggest, baddest, thuggish, rugged bone. Let him lead us out. That was what we wanted. We want that thug that put hands out. Like can scrap. If he can box, he can throw hands. Let him be the king. I vote. Yay?
He's the king.
Yay? Yay.
He will be king.
So this is the thinking. Listen, I'm going to get to a point here. So just work with me. Let that go. We wanted a king to fight our battles. Because these Philistines gave us problems. Let that go. Jump to 1 Samuel 10, verse 17 through 19.
Done. 1 Samuel chapter 10 and verse 17. And Samuel called the people together unto the Most High to Mizpah, and said unto the children of Israel, Thus saith the Lord, power of Israel, I brought up Israel out of Egypt, and delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all the kingdoms, and all them that oppressed you.
So the Most High is reminding the Jew, a king didn't deliver you out of Egypt.
True.
The Lord delivered you out of Egypt. The Lord has been there with you day in and day out this entire time. Read on.
And ye have this day rejected your power, who himself saved you out of all your adversaries and tribulations. And ye have said unto him, Nay, but set a king over us.
So he's, the Most High is about reminding and saying the same things over and over again because things don't stick in our heads. He's like, I've been the one who's looked over you the entire time, but you're saying, nope. We want a king. Read on.
Now, therefore present yourselves before the Most High by your tribes and by your thousands.
So he's like, okay, if we're going to sit back here and do this king thing, it's on you. Earlier in the chapter, he said, the Most High had Samuel explain to the Jews all the disadvantages of having a king. And we said, we don't care. We just don't want to fight these damn, these Hamites, these Africans, bro, because they're throwing hands. And we don't like it. So now we're like, okay, have all the tribes of Israel walk past Samuel, and I'm going to let everybody know who's going to be the chosen tribe and the chosen king from the tribe. So read on.
God. And when Samuel had caused all the tribes of Israel to come near, the tribe of Benjamin was taken.
So the Most High had all the tribes go through, and everything stopped at Benjamin. The same thing happened in Joshua, and all the tribes had to walk past Joshua. And Judah had to be stopped because of Achan and that Babylonian garment. This is how it goes. The tribes walk past. The Most High is like, okay, Samuel, it's going to be Benjamin. They're going to be the first one up with the kingship. So Most High has Samuel stop Benjamin. Read on.
When he had caused the tribe of Benjamin to come near by their families, the family...
So then he breaks down the families. Once the tribe comes, all the families walk past him of the tribe. All the families walk past until they find the family of Matri. Read on.
God. The family of Matri was taken, and Saul, the son of Kish, was taken. And when they saw him, he could not be found.
So the Spirit said, listen, the son of Kish, Saul's the guy. But Saul, when he was young, he didn't want that responsibility and the pressure of being the king. He was a humble person. Read on.
Therefore, they inquired of the Most High further, if the man should yet come thither.
So they're asking, where is this man? Let's somebody go find him. Where is this man? Let's go get Saul. Because he's hiding. And he wasn't hiding out of fear. It was just the responsibility was major for him. And he didn't have pride at that time. He was in a good spirit. He was good. The power changed him over time. But continue.
And the Most High answered, Behold, he hath hid himself among the stuff.
He's hiding in the broom closet. Right? Somebody go get him out. He's hiding in the trash. Right? He's scared of the bar. But I understand that job was major. Read on.
And they ran and fetched him thence. And when he stood among the people, he was higher than any of the people from his shoulders and upwards.
This is an important part. When they finally got him, he was the biggest, baddest man in the nation. He said from his shoulders up, he was taller than everybody. So the tallest dude was at his shoulder.
It's a foot taller.
That guy was legit. The Most High was like, you want an athlete to be your king? This guy's an athlete. This guy can play football, basketball. What is this? This LeBron, the Bizarre.
Yes.
This guy's got the total package.
Yeah.
He's gifted. He's the biggest guy. The Most High gave them what they wanted. The biggest, strongest guy to fight their battles. That's important. Right? So the Most High says, I'm going to give you what you want in the carnal. Because that's what you're asking for. Read on.
And Samuel said to all the people, see ye him, whom the Most High had chosen, that there is none like him among all the people.
So Samuel was like, listen, there's nobody of his stature amongst the nation. So this is the guy that's going to be your king. Read on.
And all the people shouted and said, power, save the king. Then Samuel told the people the manner of the kingdom and wrote it in a book and laid it up before the Most High. And Samuel sent all the people away, every man to his house.
Read on.
And Saul also went home to Gibeah. And there went with them a band of men whose hearts the Most High had touched.
So there was a band of men that said, we're going to ride or die with Saul and protect him. So Saul went to his hometown of Gibeah, settled down, was going to figure out how this king thing going to set up his office, set up his kingdom. Well, we did all that to show you the next verse. Read on.
But
Stop. But with all that good, the people asked for a guy to fight their battles. The Most High gave him that. He was the biggest, tallest guy. Right?
Right.
He was the guy that could fight the battles for the Jew, because that's what we wanted. But tying this in with that contemning and that thinking that how our nature is to see the worst in the people around us, to see the weakness in the people around us. Let's continue.
Verse 27. But the children of Belial.
The children of Belial. Belial means worthless children. Wicked or worthless children. And there's a lot of sons of and children of Belial in Israel. It wasn't just like a small pocket of them. There's a lot of children of Belial. There are a lot of worthless and wicked people in Israel. But why? What makes Israel wicked and worthless? You know?
But the children of Belial said, how shall this man save us?
Listen, how should he save you? Why were you asking for help in the first place? You wanted somebody to fight your battle. The Most High gave you that. Now you're sitting back here and looking Saul and said, he can't save us.
He had a guy.
He ain't the guy.
He was hiding.
Let me look at the weakness in Saul to justify to tell myself why he shouldn't be the guy.
Yep.
This is our thinking.
Should have been me.
It should have been me. Listen, he ain't better than me. It should have been me. I don't gotta follow this man. But the whole people asked for they asked for a king to follow.
He begged for it.
Now the Most High gives it to you, and you're sitting back here and breaking this guy down to his lowest common denominator to justify why he shouldn't be the guy.
We all bleed the same.
He bleed like I bleed. Oh, he's a predator. I guess. He's a predator. He bleeds green, so we can kill him. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But what's the point?
Yeah.
This shows the nature of our people. You want something, the Most High gives it to you, and then you break it down and you despise it after He gives it to you. We do that to ribs. We sit back here in life and sit back here and learn the Most High. And then we get around the Most High and we sit back here and tear it down day by day and see the worst in it. We do it to our partners. Why did I get a rib? I wish I had a rib. So you get a rib, all you do is see the worst in it.
Hater.
What?
Hater.
What do you mean? Hater. Okay.
That's reaction.
Hate her.
Okay, hater. Okay.
Hey, I'm just,
Can't stand
that's
it.
just not what I
It's
expected.
just so negative.
That's not what I expected.
Yeah. This is us. And the same thing with us, with wives.
I was expecting more.
You can't listen. I want a righteous man. When you get what God is trying, all you see is the worst. I'm not happy. This happens all the time. Am I lying or not? When these niggas was treating you like dogs, you know what? Excrement. You know that happens a whole lot. You was crying. Oh, I just want a good, righteous Christian man. That's all I want. Is a righteous Christian man.
Alabama.
Yes.
Yeah.
Outside.
And then you get you a righteous Christian man, and you can't stand his guts. He's always working. He's always dedicated. Why don't you say that? He's always dedicated to the Lord. Why is he always dedicated to God and the Brotherhood of Christ? I can't stand the fact that he's always running the Brotherhood of Christ and serving the Lord and saying the Bible. I hate the fact that he does that all the time. Why don't you say it in proper context? How about that? I hate that he's always tired after working for the body of Christ and studying the scriptures and reading the Bible and being an example for his brothers in Christ. I can't stand that. Isn't that the truth about why these things are the way they are? Yeah. That is that scornful spirit. We lack the capacity to see the good. And because of that, we don't appreciate the good. You don't appreciate the help. You don't appreciate the blessing. Because we don't know how to hyper-focus on blessings and good and the savory things about what the Lord has given you. We hyper-focus on the evil, which makes us the contemner, the scorner, the condemner, the negative outlook person. And this is why we're so disconnected from the Spirit. Because if you can't learn to pull the good out of your circumstance, why do you deserve additional blessings? Why do you deserve another blessing if you can't appreciate the blessing in front of you? We always want more. An addition. I think there's something that's missing. I think something that's missing in my life. What you're missing is love and appreciation for what's in front of you. So, read verse 27 again.
1 Samuel chapter 10 and verse 27. But the children of Belial said...
These worthless and wicked people, they are worthless and they're wicked because of what?
Right. But the children of Belial said, how shall this man save us? And they despised him.
Once again, the fact that they saw the weakness, they hyper-focus on what Saul didn't have. Maybe it was experience. Maybe he wasn't tough enough for him. Maybe he wasn't hard. I remember when I was a young officer, many used to get mad because I wasn't from the hood. I was over them in rank, but I wasn't crip walking and dealing with B's and C's. I didn't sit back here and shoot and kill nobody. I wasn't set tripping, so I wasn't qualified to check them. That was real. I wasn't sitting back here banging in Cali. If I was banging in Cali, they'd sit back here. Yehovah Shem Yah Shai Barakatah. Yeah, because I didn't have it, and I'm not knocking people who do. Because I didn't have no gold teeth. I wasn't going to be respected in Christ. That's facts. That's fact. I'm serious. I didn't have golds. I wasn't sitting back here riding no candy. This is me in the South now. Now I'm in the South. I wasn't riding no candy. There was no respect. I'm serious, I didn't drink lean. I didn't drink lean in the world. I didn't even know there was lean. How about that? I didn't even know what lean was in Cali. What the hell was lean?
You didn't ride with slabs, so you can't tell me
I wasn't riding on slab. I didn't drink lean. I didn't sit back here and have golds out. So I wasn't going to be listened. I wasn't respected. It's the truth. Listen, depending on what region you are, there's different classifications if you're worthy enough to be followed. Yeah. But that's Jake. But that thinking, or I was too young. Yeah. You know how many times brothers didn't want to follow didn't want to listen because I was 15 years younger than him? That happened all the time. But what it really was is that the older cat was making a bunch of mistakes and didn't justify the position. And he wasted his time running the streets in the world. Now you got to get taught and start from the beginning. So once again, why would the older man not lock into the younger man? Because the idea of having to submit to the younger man makes him feel inadequate. Or, I was sitting, a lot of times as a teacher, I was penalized because I read books. I'm supposed to be sitting back here, listening to nigger rap and hanging out and working out all damn day long and not reading books? But I'm supposed to be a teacher of the Bible? What is this? This is crazy. Am I right or wrong? Because reading books wasn't street. Wasn't street. I got to pull a script. Or I didn't wear lokes when I street taught. I'm dead ass serious. You better wear lokes when you street teaching that. You better wear lokes and bandanas out, or the spirit ain't with you. I didn't know that. I didn't know the spirit had to be with you if you wore lokes and bandanas in class.
He's certified. That
dude's rugged. The spirit's with him.
He's the one.
Like, bro, listen, I am throwing out as many stigmas that I can think of that justifies men to lock into you or justifies why they don't have to respect you.
Couple more
I'm sorry, yeah.
Ecclesiasticus.
And y'all know it's true. Y'all know it's true because y'all have to face it now.
Ecclesiasticus 14 and 8. Ecclesiasticus 14 and 8.
Oh, you was born with a silver spoon in your mouth. No, I wasn't. That's not it either. I just went through a different set of curses than you. So because you went through a different set of curses, now you don't got to respect the brother? This happens all the time too. I'm sorry, what verse did you pull, man?
Ecclesiastes 14 and 8.
Yeah.
The envious man hath the wicked eye.
So an envious man,
great verse.
He has a wicked eye.
Is Ecclesiastes what again?
14th chapter.
I gotta type this. I gotta type this in the computer.
Yeah, 14th chapter, 8th verse of Ecclesiastes.
Read it again.
All right.
Ecclesiastes 14 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
The envious man hath a wicked eye.
The envious man, the man that entertains this comparative spirit. Because when you're comparing you versus other men, and
focusing on the weakness of other men.
I'm focusing on a man's weakness. You're opening the door for the spirit of envy to enter in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a slot to entertain that spirit, right? Because you're comparing. I don't see why. What about you makes you
over me? Justified to check me about my issues.
You have to prove to me why I should. I don't see the reason. Now that little gap that you don't see, now the door is open for envy. Because envy has to feed your perspective that fuels the wicked eye. The wicked eye is fueled by competition, envy, and negative.
And the problem is, those outlooks are unqualified.
Yeah.
And unjustified hatred.
Yeah.
Because it's unjustified.
Because I'm collecting cases that really aren't substantial to empower and justify my evil eye. I have to justify my evil eye. The spirit behind it normally is envy. Read.
He turneth away his face.
And what does he do? What's the reaction of these men?
He turneth away his face.
I don't have to regard you. Remember, regard means a person that will attend to your influence to see how your influence can affect their conduct.
Yep.
What do you have to say, and what is the relevance of what you have to say, so that I can make an adjustment if what you say is, on point. Is it on point? I'll give you the chance to make an on point statement. Because I've already crucified you in my mind. Right? So the envious man has a wicked eye, and what happens?
He turneth away his face.
I don't regard you. I don't respect you.
Yep.
When you talk to me, this is what my face does.
Yeah. He
turns his face.
They're trying. If they could, they'd walk off. Yeah. If they could, they'd walk off, but they're in the truck, so they just turn their face.
Like this.
I can't go. I'm in the truck. I'll just be disrespectful and give you a bad A.
Like this.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you, At. Scripture pointing you out right here. Read.
And despised men.
And the second part is he turns his face and despises men, or contemns men, or
scorns men,
or scorns men.
All of them say
it's
the
the
same
same concept in the Bible. That goes back to that malevolent, malicious root that Christ is at war with.
That's inside of us that we're not checking. So we can sit back here and blame it on how we were raised. No, it's just negative in you. Where you were raised has nothing to do with the fact that you're negative. You're just negative. And the quicker we can sit back here and acknowledge this evil in us, we'll have a better opportunity to stay on top of it and start to break it. And the more that we fix it, and the more that we can sit back here and stop focusing on weakness and focus on the good and the blessing that we have to have the body of Christ with us, now Christ can start working with us. Now Christ can start entering into our spirit. So when we start thinking about like the spirit, when we start talking about the spirit entering into a person and the spirit of Christ being with the person, now we can start understanding, having more tangible understanding of it. Because there's a difference between having Bible knowledge and making the necessary changes inside of you for the Spirit to work with you. This is why a lot of Israelites come to class 3 to 4 times a week and never figure it out. This is why a lot of us come to class day in after day in after day in, and it's just a routine now. But you don't see real changes in a person's spirit, in how they think, in their mind, body, and soul. Because that's what it takes to get the acknowledgement of the Heavenly Father. This is why Christ, this is why Paul, this is why most of the New Testament, Old Testament, most I was like, I hate and I despise your what?
Feast days.
The reason he hates and despises our feast days is more times than not, those feast days are a covering for fixing what's inside of you. A lot of us, we make all of our time and energy about these gatherings and how we do the gatherings and how we prepare the gatherings and how we prepare these feasts. We do all that busy work instead of fixing the hatred of us. So what Christ did, what Paul did, is try to teach us to stop focusing on all that fluff and focus on the things that matter to get you connected to Christ, so that the Spirit can actually work with you. Because by nature, we're so ceremonial. We'll go through the ceremonies and go crazy for a few days. Because you know why? Because you can fake it for a few days. You can fake loving your brother and loving your sister for a few days.
I love you.
You can give the fake smile.
For 48 hours.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I love you
or for a week.
Yes.
A week and a half. Because Israel got like grin and bear it during like tabernacle time. I gotta go to another person's house today. Oh, we've done this gathering for 4 days. I'm done. Why are you done? It's because because after that 4th, 5th day, you seeing the same damn faces. It ain't fun no more. What dinner night is this? Okay, can I eat this shit at home? Can I get a to-go plate? Am I lying or am I telling the truth? Okay, I'm all brotherhooded out. By day 4. By day 3. Really day 3. I was like, hey, I gotta go. I have a lot of things to do tomorrow. It's 8:30. It's getting that time. I think I gotta get out. Like, whoa! Somebody doesn't want to be around the body of Christ here. Somebody does not want to be around the body. Hey, I just want to let you know. And this is what happens. Either the first person gathers the courage to find a reason to get out, and then as soon as they see one person leave, everybody's leaving. I gotta go 2. I have to go 3. I have to go 4. Everybody's leaving. Why is everybody leaving?
I too need to be excused.
Or to avoid cleanup and to avoid spending time with one another. I've already done this 3 days already this week. I don't want any part of this. I'm done. This is our nature. Let's be honest. Listen, it's cool to do the Passover. Everybody can do cosplay for a day out. Dress up out. It's the truth. That's how we treat it. We treat it like cosplay because we don't take it serious. We don't work on bonds. That's why I call it cosplay. Because we don't treat it for what it's about. Anyway, it's what it is. Are you done with your verse though yet?
No.
Okay, so we finish up Samuel. Did we finish up Samuel? No, reverse First Samuel 10 and 27 real quick. Finish this off.
1 Samuel chapter 10 and verse 27. But the children of Belial said, how shall this man save us?
So the whole thinking is, of a negative-minded person, we're going to look a person up and down to justify why they're not worthy to be followed. That's why I went here. Because that's what we do. We look a person, especially a young officer that gets his rank up, we're sitting back here and looking him up and down to justify he don't deserve to be over me. Look at all of these issues he's got. Why do I got to follow him? We do it now. We did it back then. The things written in the foretime are what? Because is there. These sons of Belial, or these children of Belial, back then, are a reflection of the children of Belial here. On 44 Walls Road. There's children of Belial here. Because the thinking is that way. The thinking is similar. Why should I have to follow this person? Why should I have to be in order with this person? This is not just, he's not qualified to be over me. I haven't heard those words, but it is implied all the time.
And the lack of worth is the fact that I'm not growing.
And the lack of worth is based upon the fact that I just don't follow him. And this person can have a lot of good attributes you can learn from. Anyway, let's continue. And they.
It says, and they despised him.
And they despised him. They saw the worst in Saul. Saul didn't do nothing to be despised.
He didn't get started.
He didn't even want the position. So they despised him because he didn't sit back and wasn't assertive enough? It's always something. You can't please people. If you would have sat back here and stood up, stood tall, and not hid, they would say he's cocky. If he hid like he did, he's weak.
He's scared.
He's scared. It's always, this is the issue with leadership. It doesn't matter what you do. You're going to be hated. And people are going to be looking to see the weakness in you to justify why they don't have to serve. Let's continue.
It says, and they despised him and brought him no presents.
And they didn't buy him no presents. They're like, forget this dude.
That's that sneak dissing Israel. Israel
Sneak
likes to
dissing it?
subliminally attack.
Yeah.
By their lack of
Microaggressions
respect. Microaggressions and small attacks, and just say, oh, I just didn't have anything. I wasn't prepared. Look, you make a reason to not respect a person. Israel is real good at that. They're good at that.
We're good at a lot of deceptive evil.
Anything negative about what kind of quality at that? They're like,
I know we talk a lot about how we're bad in us, but if you don't explain that there's sickness in us, how can we ever fix it and improve?
and also too, everybody acts like, man, why? If we don't explain this information, Israel will forever be the victim and don't know why they're suffering.
I know.
That's another game too.
I know they want to keep suffering in silence.
And now it's God's fault.
Yeah.
It's his fault, the camp's fault, the elders' fault,
The truth's fault.
Maria's fault, truth's fault, was God's fault. But it's everybody's fault because you can't see you because you're the victim.
Yep.
The victim position gives you the power to not see anything that you ever do. So we have to cry aloud, spare not, show the sins of my people Israel.
Yeah. We got another one. Let's go to Luke chapter 19. I know we're not going to be able to get through all this today, and that's okay. But we got to get to this next one. Luke chapter 19, verse 11 through 27.
Luke chapter 19, verse 11. Ready?
Yep.
And as they heard these things, he added and spake a parable, because he was nigh to Jerusalem.
Matter of fact, give me verse 9.
Verse 9. And Yahushua said unto him, this day is salvation come to this house, for so much as he also is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost.
Continue.
And as they heard these things, he added and spake a parable, because he was nigh to Jerusalem.
He was near to Jerusalem. Read on.
And because they thought that the kingdom of the Most High should immediately appear.
So the thinking what the disciples had was that Christ is here, the end's coming, salvation is within days or months or whatever the case. Read on.
Verse 12. He said, therefore, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return.
So the nobleman is talking about Christ. This nobleman went into a far country to receive himself a kingdom and to return to this place and get awarded the kingdom that was promised to him. Read on.
Verse 13. And he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, occupy till I come.
So he has to, listen, Christ has to go to this far country and get whatever honors and respect he has to get. So he says, while I'm gone, I got 10 servants. I'm going to give them 10 pounds. And says, occupy these pounds until I get back. Read on.
Verse 14. But his citizens hated him and sent a message after him, saying, we will not have this man to reign over us.
So listen, there's a handful of citizens that just didn't like this nobleman. They said, we don't like this guy, we're not locking into you.
Children of Belial.
They're children of Belial. What did this nobleman do for the regular people to just not want to follow him? We're going to kind of go into the story to get the understanding. So you have a handful of people that are just oppositional to this nobleman and don't have the respect necessary. They're scorning him. They see the worst in him. They have a disdain. They're scorners. They're contemners. They're condemners. Whatever word you want to use. I refuse for this man to follow this man. But his 10, they follow him. The 10 lead officers, they follow him. But the people don't. Read on.
Verse 15. And it came to pass that when he was returned, having received the kingdom, then he commanded these servants to be called unto him, to whom he had given the money, that he might know how much every man had gained by trading.
Now this chapter is another explanation of the talents chapter. I'm not focusing on the talents today. The nobleman comes back and he says, I want to know what these what you guys did with these 10 talents, okay, or 10 pounds, to see where you guys are at with your initiative and your work ethic. Read on.
Verse 16. Then came the first, saying, Lord, thy pound have gained 10 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto him, well, thou good servant, because thou hast been faithful in a very little, have thou authority over 10 cities.
So this nobleman has significant power. Each of these men had 10 pounds. The first one, he sat back here and said, you gave me a pound, I gained 10. Read on.
Verse 18. And the second came, saying, Lord, thy pound have gained 5 pounds.
So the person who had the pound, this other one gained 5 off the one. Read on.
And he said likewise to him, be thou also over 5 cities.
Okay.
And another came, saying, Lord, behold, here is thy pound, which I have kept laid up in a napkin. For I fear thee, because thou art an austere man.
What does austere mean?
Serious.
Serious, hard. Let's get an 1828 of it.
Hater.
Exactly what you said. Austere, severe, harsh, rigid,
Mm-hmm.
stern, applied to persons.
So listen, Christ is severe, harsh, rigid, stern. This is that nobleman's nature. So the 10 officers understood this, but this one officer was crippled with fear and sloth because of this rigidness, and made an excuse not to double his talents. Now, this also gives you insight as to why the people didn't want to follow the nobleman. The people didn't want to follow the nobleman because the nobleman was what? Austere, rigid, and demanding. So when a person is austere, rigid, and demanding on you, you take that mixture coupled with what? Your disdain and your desire to see weakness. That is an issue ready to happen, waiting to happen. You can't see the good in this nobleman, and he's strict. What ends up happening? Take away the nobleman name, and he's put a brother over. It's an argument. It's disrespect. But why is it disrespect? Because the ranking man is stern, is trying to push the program, and the subordinate man is looking at things negative, but his response is what?
For I fear.
What was his response in verse 14? But the citizens hated him.
Okay.
And sent a message after him saying, we will not have this man to reign over us. This is how brothers roll in the truck.
Not from the fathers, dude.
This is how brothers roll at the move. This is how brothers roll at the mall. As soon as there's some austerity coming, then all of a sudden I'm looking at your weakness. And because I've looked at your weakness, I've seen your flaw, this justifies me you're not qualified to order me around. Verse 14 again, it says, this man is not going to reign over us. They don't have the right to say that. Who told them they had the right to say this guy don't have the right to be reign over you? That's not true. When Norman comes back, you better lock in, or there's going to be consequence and repercussions.
Bring them guards.
And that's what we're going to read. But this lack of respect and this scorning, contemning mindset has always been there. Hell no, we won't go. We do not like this leader. We're going to protest. We're going to be disrespectful. Probably throw some tomatoes if we can, and some cabbage. Yes.
It almost sounds like they're trying to impeach him.
Yeah.
But that verse that you went through in 1 Samuel, it sounded like that they wanted to be like the nations, and they were sitting back here pretty much doing something.
And like that, it was microaggression.
Right.
Just like this is microaggression. I am not going to follow this man. Don't brothers do that now? I don't respect him. He can't tell me nothing. He's not qualified to check me.
When the elders not there, then I'm gonna be this way.
That's how it is. The elder ain't there. Then all the crap gets
come
talked
out. Phones blowing up. Elders there. Everybody's
Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatah.
Everybody's in order.
That's the point. But when that top captain ain't there, it's disrespect city. Am I right or wrong? So like Dawei I used to always talk about this image, this life-size image of like the generals gotta be at the song. Do we have to bring life-size images of me or Sham Chuana to go to the move out?
A cardboard
cutout
a photo like this.
of the generals out. I guess.
Disapprove.
And then they gotta have like then they have to have like a little banner there that says Shalom, y'all gotta love each other. And push the button. Y'all better stop. Y'all gotta sit back here and work together as a body, as a unit. Does that gotta happen? Does it? Because if not, there's no respect happening. So we're gonna get some fat heads out. You ever see those fat heads out? we're gonna get life-size fat heads. I can put them on the truck out. That's what I'm saying.
A big blow up like this.
Those I don't know, fat heads are like little sports decals, and they stick them on the wall. They're like 6 foot tall images of Wayne Gretzky and Jordan. We gotta sit back here and do what the brothers have to sustain obedience with the body at. So there's no contending. Because if brothers aren't there, then all of a sudden, what ends up happening is we will not have this man to reign over us. That's what's happening. Is that not happening? We will not have this officer of 100 reign over us. We will not have this officer of 1,000 reign over us. This is not going to happen. It happens all the time. So, let's go to 21 again. Luke 19 to 21.
Come, for I fear thee, because thou art an austere man.
So that austereness of that nobleman was part of the reason why the people did not like him and did not want him to be over them. Because you know what's funny? You know it's amongst the brothers? As long as there's fun and games, everybody's in order.
Yep. Yeah.
As long as there's jokes and shucking and jiving, it's cool. But as long as then austerity comes in, the program gets implemented, the disrespect kicks in. Am I lying or not? I know I'm telling the truth. As long as you get what you want, there's brotherhood. When the correction comes, I will not have this man run over me. This is what happens, right? That's just in the old English way of communication. Listen, what we got to do is get a New York voice and put this on here, right? We will not have this man to run over us, son. B. Then what ends up happening? Yes,
or they slander you and defame you.
Well, that's the whole point. That's what scoring is. How I've scored you in my mind first. I've seen your weakness in my mind first. Then the verbal lashings kick in. We're done.
That's like a scorpion.
Brother, whatever you want to call it. Huh?
Like a scorpion, but you be around it. You go to be cool for so long with a scorpion until it's stinging you.
Let's keep going now.
For
Scorpion wisdom, I guess. Huh? Scorpion, I didn't get it. Now I know.
You're in the truck with a scorpion, brother. He's just there. Things gonna be cool. And that's about business. You get the stung.
Yeah. You ever see that like Aesop's fable about the frog that takes the scorpion over the water and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Let me stop. You got me all veered off now. Right? And the scorpion stings the frog. He says, but I saved you. He says, but I'm a scorpion.
I'm a scorner. That's what it really is.
And the scorpion dies in the water. He dies with the frog.
Doesn't matter.
Well, I'm trying to save you. He's like, I gotta get you, man. I gotta do it. I have to score.
I don't respect you.
Anyway, let's continue.
Verse 21. For I fear thee, because thou art an austere man. Thou takest up that thou laidest not down, and reapest that thou didst not sow. And he saith unto him, out of thy own mouth will I judge thee. Thou wicked servant, Salakia, thou wicked servant, thou knewest that I was an austere man, taking up that I laid not down, and reaping that I did not sow. Wherefore then gavest not thou my money into the bank, that at my coming I might have required my own with usury?
Listen, let's get to the point of it. So listen, it's universally known that this nobleman was an austere man. He went away on a journey to get some accolades and land and whatever he was getting. He came back. He judged all of these officers or captains he gave responsibility to. We read in verse 14 that the citizens hated him, partially because he was austere, and they said we're not gonna let this guy reign over us. So he ends up dealing with these officers. He ends up judging them based on their works. Now let's jump to verse 27. So from verse 22 to 26 just deals with the judgment on the officers. Verse 27 deals with the judgment on the citizens that hated him. The citizens that hated him because he was austere. And for other reasons. How does Christ look at his servants? How does the nobleman of Christ look at the servants who are mentally wired to determine what man they're not going to have reign over them? Read verse 27.
But those my enemies.
So he's saying the citizens that made the declaration that they're not going to serve that nobleman, Christ calls them his what?
Enemies.
Scorners are his enemies. People who contemn are his enemies. People who have disdain for the brothers around him are his enemies. People who condemn are his enemies. He says these people that lack the ability to see the good in the people that they have to lock into, they are his enemies. And what does Christ do to his enemies? Read on.
Which would not that I should reign over them.
That's the point. Is it just that one nobleman they have a problem with, or they're just the spirit of not following? is that Christ has an issue with. The issue is with people that just refuse to follow, that want to pick and choose who they submit to. The ones that don't want to be reigned over, what does Christ say?
Bring hither and slay them before me.
That's how Christ looks at that scorning spirit. Scornful people. You want to pick and choose if you want to submit or not? Then I'm just going to kill you and make it easy for you. That's how Christ is. And Christ lets you know he's an austere man. He's hard. He's going to lock in or not. And if you're not going to lock in, he's going to move you. He's going to move you out the way. This is how Christ thinks. People think that Christ is a pushover, and he's okay. He's okay with pride and disrespect. You think this just is talking about this one nobleman? Well, this is referred to as a parable. He's telling you the spirit of people that don't want to be reigned over is going to get slayed. The spirit of people that don't double the talents that he gives you is going to get punished and be labeled a wicked servant. This is a spirit that better get fixed amongst our nation if you expect anything good to go your way. You better have the capacity not to think of the weakness of the man you're working with, but the good, whether it's a ranking situation or not, or if I'm the person over you. I better learn how to see the good in the people I work with. If not, I'm on the clock. Because the spirit definitely ain't going to work with you. And I don't want to, I'm just pessimistic. No, you got the devil in you. I'm just cynical. No, you got the devil in you. Stop giving all these Edomite words for being wicked. I'm just being sarcastic. And no, you're being evil.
Satan.
It's Satan. Stop using your zodiac sign to justify your wickedness. Scorpios be sarcastic. What are you talking about? Please. It's the truth. Aries. Aries be tripping sometimes. They just vivacious. Get out of here, right? Wickedness is wickedness, right? It's evil. Capricorns. Caps. Kind
of hard-headed.
No, you're just rebellious, bro. Earth signs be stubborn. Jake, on that dumb stuff. I had a low-level game. You must be a Gemini. Yeah. Let's talk more about the signs. That gives me 30-minute conversation to get to know you. I knew a guy who was like an expert at just talking about signs. He was like he had an acute sense just to talk 30 minutes of fluff talk about signs. And that was his way in. Anyway, I don't know why I got to that. It's so corny. You see it a mile away. Come on, you talk about signs? Anyway, whatever. Each his own. If it worked for him, salute. Once again, we finished verse 27, right?
Yep.
Let's go to Galatians now. Chapter 4. This still deals with that mindset and that outlook. But this is on the positive. And just I'm going to show it to you. Galatians chapter 4, I'm sorry. Galatians chapter 4. And 13.
Galatians chapter 4, verse 13.
1 second. Just got to clean this up. Okay, let's do that.
Galatians chapter 4, verse 13. Ye know how, through infirmity of the flesh, I preached the gospel unto you at the first.
So this is Paul talking to the students of Galatia. And just for the historical content, Paul was going. Listen. The book Galatians. That was the first book he wrote in all of his New Testament books. Okay, and he's like, listen, Paul will go to all the synagogues all throughout Asia Minor, and in Corinth, in Greece, and Rome, and he would sit back here and teach the Jews that were in the synagogues and try to pull them out of the synagogues and teach them Christ. In a nutshell, that's what the New Testament was about. He went to all these different churches, synagogues that taught the law and Moses, and went to these synagogues to teach them Christ and pull them out of the Mosaic way of thinking. Okay? So, Paul is like, listen, ye know how through infirmities of the flesh I preached the gospels unto you at first. What they say is Paul had issues with his eyes, his vision, his eyesight. And that was a problem for him his entire life, teaching the word. So it's going to explain that. Read on.
Verse 14. And my temptation, which was in my flesh, ye despised not.
My temptation, my weakness that was in my flesh, you didn't despise it. And he's giving him a compliment. And the reason he's bringing it out, because it was an abnormality. It was abnormal that people looked past his physical deficiency and saw the good in him. And saw the potency in his message. And saw the power in his teachings. Because most people, when they see a physical deformity or a flaw or a kink in your armor, what do? We despise you. We disrespect you. We contemn you. We don't feel that this man should be over us. This is the thinking of our people. And Paul is saying, listen, you guys didn't treat me that way. There was good in you. Because the ability to sit back here and look past whatever deficiency I had, and you saw the good. That's Christ in you. And this is what he was trying to say. Listen, you got the Spirit of Christ in you. Don't get caught up in the judgment of all these Jews that are at the synagogues that are looking down on you and are seeing the worst in you. If you read it from verse 1 down, this is the issue. And in verse 3, chapter 3, how the peer pressure of other Jews who were staying in the synagogues was affecting the Jews that were locking into Christ following Paul. So he's like, listen, the Spirit's already with you. Stop sitting back here and feeling judged by these people. Hold fast to what you are. Because when I was out there, you saw the good in me and wasn't caught up in despising me for my physical shortcomings. He's letting you know that our people have a habit of making a judgment of one another just based on the physical. Do we not?
A simple mind.
But a lot of us is simple. If there's a physical deformity, we judge you. If I see a weakness in you, I look down on you. This is how we're wired. So he's explaining how special they were because they didn't think that way. Okay? Read verse 14 again.
Galatians 4:14. And my temptation, which was in my flesh, you despised not, nor rejected, but received me as an angel of the Most High, even as Yahushua.
He says, you guys received me as if I was Christ. And he says, you looked past the flaws, the physical flaws. Why am I going here? This still ties into Luke chapter 19. Because Luke chapter 19 talked about how Christ was austere. And the regular people said, we are not going to have you rule over me. Right? But another reason why they didn't want to sit back here and let Christ rule over them was what? Let's go to Isaiah 53. Let's go to Isaiah 53. Isaiah 53 verse 1 through 4.
Isaiah chapter 53 verse 1
will give you understanding as to another reason why Israel didn't mess with Christ and didn't follow Christ or respect Christ. Read on. Read that.
Who has believed our report? And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed?
Read on.
For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground.
So he says Christ is going to be a root out of dry ground. He's going to be raised up in difficult situations in his life. He's not going to be born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's going to be born with difficulties, a hard life. Read on.
He hath no form nor comeliness.
It's also saying the true depiction of Christ was that he wasn't handsome. There was nothing about him that was beautiful, pleasing, to be liked, to be loved. There was nothing when you saw Christ that would let you think that was Christ. Nothing how he looked. Listen, there's certain reports I can't confirm or say it's a fact that he had a hunchback. That is, he had irregular legs. His look was so out of pocket. You would have to really be beamed into the spirit to see that was Christ and see that was the chosen. But now we understand why. The Most High brought Christ down in that form to show, because our people are judgmental. And the Most High didn't want the judgmental Jew to sit back and get the tallest, most handsome, most prettiest person in the world on earth. Because it says, because the majority of our people wouldn't respect the guy that has the limp, that has one leg shorter than the other, has deformities. And that's why they don't have salvation either. It's the same thing with us. He's like, because you can't sit back here and learn to serve that younger person is why you ain't getting the kingdom. Because you can't see the good in this unassuming person is why you're not getting the kingdom. This is how the Most High checks us. Because I can't see the good in the person that's been here for 15 years. He might have flaws, but he's still here. Because you can't see the beauty in the people the Most High brings in your life is why you're not getting the kingdom and why the Spirit ain't going to ever be with you. So the Most High sits back here and sets things up like this with Christ's looks and his vicious. There's nothing comely about him. You can only imagine how deformed he might have looked. There was nothing about how Christ looked that was appealing. And for most of us, if that's the case, are you going to listen to the message?
No.
No. Because what you're going to think is because he has these deformities, the Spirit ain't with him. Because he has these flaws, the Spirit ain't with him. So why listen to him? This is our thinking. We judge off the outer. We judge to our advantage. We judge because we don't want to serve.
And we're shouting.
Because we judge because we just don't want to be obedient. That's the truth. Because the truth is, regardless if I saw, didn't Christ give the order? Do what the Pharisees say. Just don't do what they do. You know how many times I sit back here and hear brothers sit back here and say, man, this brother did this, this, and this. Then I ask, listen, what, did they tell you to break a law? No. Then why can't you do it? Why can't you obey the order despite the flaw you see in them? Christ even told us that. Because we're hateful. And we see the flaw to justify why we can just be what we naturally are, which is rebellious. And that we have this expectation of flawlessness. You have to be this unflawed to be served. But your rib got to sit back and tolerate the worst of you and be in order. She got to see the worst in you, your inconsistency, your hatefulness, and she got to lock in. But you get to measure the people over you as much as you want with no consequence.
Extreme prejudice.
Listen, we're the most hypocritical, full of you-know-what people on earth. And wonder why we're in the conditions we're in. So, keep going in Isaiah 53. Give me number 2. Yeah, verse 2.
On top of verse 2. For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness.
There was nothing about Christ that was appealing. Read on.
And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him.
So when you see Christ, you better be looking to live right and change. That better be your number one goal. It's almost like the Most High puts people in your life that are flawed. And at the same time as they're flawed, there's a lot of virtue you got to learn from them. And depending on what you hyper-focus on, just reveal to the Most High where your heart's really at. Because if you really want to change and you really want to grow, you'll focus on the good. You'll focus on what makes this person important in the eyes of the Heavenly Father. Do y'all ask yourself that? If this person's over me, what makes this person important to the Heavenly Father? Let me learn from that. But the fact that we don't lets the Most High know we really don't want to change. We just talk, you know what? We talk trash and create this idea that we're really sincere about change, but we're not sincere about change. Because there's virtue in every single one of us that you can pull from. There is strength in every single one of you and that you can pull from and learn from and add to you. If you choose to look at it that way, but because we're scorners, we hate the one that corrects us because we haven't taught ourselves to see the good in the person that corrects us. Because we're hateful and we're malevolent and we have that malignant root inside of us. See how it ties back to the whole point in 2 Ezra chapter 3? There is nothing but hatred in us. And we walk around here like we're spiritual and we're not. Let's continue.
Verse 3. He is despised and rejected of men.
Christ was despised and rejected of men, one, because of his looks, and two, because of what?
Austerity.
How austere he was. So in the carnal man's mind, this man will not reign over me. He doesn't look the part, and he keeps checking me, telling me how I gotta do more. How you gonna sit back here and tell me I gotta do more, but I see your flaw? You're not washing your hands before you eat. You see that?
Yeah.
You're not washing your hands before you eat. How come you guys are eating corn on the Sabbath? You're wicked. Why is that? Why are they saying that? Because you're checking me about what I'm not doing. This is the thinking of the scorner. This is how negative men think. How you gonna check me about me and I see your flaw? This is what we got in the camp every day of the week. We got scornful men. Posing like we're in the spirit. Thinking the spirit's with us. But really the Most High is just being merciful on us. It's really the Most High being merciful on us and not laying the hammer on us like he should. And that's what we have to understand it. He gives us nothing but mercy. But we walk around and portray ourselves like we're the spirit's with us. When we're really living off a thread, when the Most High can just sit back here and snap us. We have this false sense of bravado and this arrogance that's sad. So, read verse 3 again.
God, verse 3. He is despised and rejected of men.
Because of his look and what he stood for. It doesn't match. Read on.
A man of sorrows.
He's a man of sorrows. Imagine coming out here to save your nation and everybody hates you. They hate you or they only pimp you to get what they want out of you.
Yep.
That's what it is.
There's some benefits over
They're
here.
pimping. They're pimping. I want my eyes fixed. Give me. I got sickness. Heal me. I want something.
I want to walk.
I want to walk. I want something. I want something or I can't stay in your guts or let's kill him. Just, okay, I'm going to heal you. Just don't tell nobody I did it. I won't do nothing. Hey, everybody, I can see now. He did it for me. Bro, he just said, don't say anything. Even when you do something good for somebody, they don't listen. This was Christ's life. Continue.
God, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief.
Mm-hmm.
And we hid as it were our faces from him.
We hid our faces from him. We didn't respect him. When you turn your eye from somebody, it's almost like you feel sorry for this person. Yes, who's ever worked at Poteet Flea Market out in San Antonio? You see some people like they have some issues with their bodies out that I've never seen in my life. They're all whoever has lost limbs and body parts, they go to the flea market at Poteet. I'm not lying to you. You'll sit back and like, damn, this dude don't have an arm, or have a baby arm, a super baby arm, or he'll sit back here. There's deformities out, and I'm like, bro, I'm at the mall. I'm at the store trying to sell, and I'm like, I see this person walking, and I'm looking, like, do I sell this person? What do I do? How do I act around this person? Sometimes you don't know how to communicate with a person that got these issues. If I hope I'm not the only person that's experienced this before. You don't know how to talk to them.
What are the rules of engagement? How do I engage this person?
How do I talk? How do I
without being offensive or without constantly
oozing discomfort?
While looking at the issue.
It's like one of those Seinfeld moments. You don't know what to do. This is awkwardness.
Yeah.
So they're looking at Christ the same way. They hid their faces from him, whether it's on an everyday basis or when it was time to defend him, when they were asking if they were partakers with Christ, and they would deny him 3 times before the cock crows. Whatever the scenario was, he was rejected, he wasn't backed, and they saw the worst in him.
But they want something.
And they wanted something from him, or if they couldn't get nothing from him, if he was a threat, let's kill him. That's why he was acquainted with grief. You mean how many times he would leave the scene before they try to kill him? Before they get hands on him? He'd slip away from the crowd. He was a constant, they wanted him dead all the time. Imagine living that type of life. Hated, not wanted, always looked upon as a threat, or always somebody wants to take something from you and use you to get what they want. But this is how we do. If I can't get, we're brothers as long as I get an advantage of it. When you try to check me, don't talk to me. You're not qualified to check me. That's how we roll. But this is how Christ lived. This is what he experienced. He had to be despised to also reveal the people. His conditions and what he went through was really an indictment on the nation. We're going to go in Acts chapter 1 to find out how many people followed Christ when he died. At his death, how many people followed Christ? We'll let you know what the ratio is between true servants of the Lord and the sons of Belial and the children of Belial. Those negative, scornful people. There was 1 million plus in Israel, in Jerusalem. Over 1 million that inhabited the city. So let's continue. Read verse 4.
Into 3.
Yeah, into 3.
He was despised, and we esteemed him not.
We didn't respect him. To not esteem a person means we scorn him. To not be esteemed means we have a contemning mindset towards him. All we do is see the weakness. The things written aforetime are written for our learning. If you can't learn to respect and see the good in every one of us around you, you're sick. And the light's not in you. The light of Christ ain't in you like you think it is. Read on. So he says he was despised. He was despised. That means the majority of people didn't see the good in him.
They contemned him.
They contemned him.
That's what despised.
That's the whole point. They didn't see the good in him. And that's our issue now. We can't see the good in the brothers around us. But we want Christ to see the good in us. Do you really think he's going to do that? How can you say you love the Most High when you hate your brother? If I can't see the good in my brother, that means the Most High sees you as you a hater of him. He that despiseth not man, but the Most High.
But that was his experience.
So if you sit, that's my point. So if you sit back here and sees the weakness in another person and you despise them, Christ's like, man, you would have been the same guy that despised me. But you want mercy. And you want your rib to see the good in you. You want the Most High to see the good in you. We're really hypocrites. But let's continue.
In verse 4, surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of the Most High, and afflicted.
We esteemed him at the lowest light. We didn't give Christ honor, respect. All we did was saw his weaknesses and hyper focus on what he didn't have. Like we do to one another to this day.
The same people.
We're the same people. And all we do is, all this brother should be over me. But it's just exposed now on rank tripping. It's exposed now on how we look down at our wives at home, or our wives look down on their husbands at home. it's displayed how we hate each other and we can't bang from camp to camp and look down on one group of people because they don't see things your way. It's the same thing. We do it now in just different arenas. Let this go and go to Acts chapter 1 and 15.
Acts chapter 1 and verse 15.
And once again, we're going to see and show how many people hated the Lord and how many people focus on what Christ didn't bring to the table by the number of followers Christ had right after he died. And don't forget, as we read this, check this out. We're in Acts 1:15. I'm not going to read the whole beginning of Acts. Christ, after he died, he resurrected and was back on earth for 40 more days. And still, this is how many people followed him.
Acts chapter 1 and verse 15. And in those days, Peter stood up in the midst of the disciples and said, the number of names together were about 120.
120 people made a decision to follow Christ out of 1 million plus. But why? Because over 1 million people couldn't see the good in Christ. Because he was physically deformed and they didn't like how he checked people. So over 1 million people couldn't take correction. Couldn't accept correction. Couldn't accept how they felt when they got checked. And then when they got checked by an austere man, all they did was look at his physical deformities to justify why they didn't have to serve him. Just like we do. Just like each and every one of us do to a certain degree. How dare you check me and tell me I got to do more, but look what you don't do. Who doesn't do that? 120 people out of over 1 million said, you know what, I'm going to follow Christ and I'm going to look past what he doesn't have and focus on the good in him. But this is a reflection of our nation as a whole. And we walk around here and we strut like we're doing something spiritual, like we're really on point, and we really are not on point. So, let's tie this back in. And let's go back to Galatians 4 and 14 now.
Galatians chapter 4, verse 14. And my temptation, which was in the flesh, or in my flesh, ye despise not.
So now Paul is reaffirming how he had respect for the Jews that were in Galatia. He said, listen, I respect what you've done because in the midst of my temptation and my flaw in the flesh, you didn't condemn me or contemn me or see the worst in us. You didn't see the worst in me despite my physical ailment, because most Israelites would, like we do now. We see a flaw in a person, I ain't listening to nothing. Or I'm going to listen to you half-assed, tune you in, tune you out, but I'm not going to respect you. And if I don't respect you, are you really going to be hanging on by every word a person says? You're not. But Paul said this group didn't do it this way. Read on.
He said, ye despise not, nor rejected, but received me as an angel of the Most High, even as Yahushua. Where is then the blessings ye spake of?
The blessedness.
Where is then the blessedness ye spake of? For I bear you record.
He says the blessedness about what they did. And this is very important, and I'm going to slow it down. The greatest part about what these people did for Paul was this. Read on.
If it had been possible.
If it was possible. Read on.
Ye would have plucked out your own eyes and have given them to me.
If we're really in the spirit of Christ, why don't you assist your captain or the man over you and be what he's not? if you're a wife and your husband is lacking something, why don't you have enough love in your heart to be the peace that he's lacking for him? If you were the brother that you said you were, Paul is saying that group would have took their eye out and gave it to Paul because he needed an eye, right? And that is the greatest virtue that group had that was in the Galatia. That was at Galatia.
They would have supplied the need.
They were going to fill the need versus exploit the need to justify why they didn't have to obey, like Israel does. We'll see the flaw, see the weakness, and say, see, that's why I got to follow you. That's what that nigger mind in us likes to do. Versus saying, if my captain has a flaw, let me be what my captain needs to make him whole. That's what true servitude is. But we're too selfish to serve the right way. We're too hateful to love like Christ wants us to love. All we do is see a flaw to justify why not to serve, versus see a flaw and say, let me be what this elder needs me to be to fill in the blanks to complete his work. Why don't we think that way? I want some answers on this one. Why don't we think that way?
Because we'd rather tear down, we'd rather sit back here and say, you know what, we want to size up people that have flaws over us, and we'd rather hold in our back pocket, okay, you don't do this, so I'm going to do this, and we have this dumb thought in our mind that whenever we get that opportunity, if we get that opportunity, that we can do better, we can be better than whoever it is, whether it's a brother, whether it's a sister, whether it's a rib, whoever.
And this is why the Spirit of Christ ain't going to be with us. Because we don't understand what serving means. If you're going to serve, fill in the blank of the person that you're. Since you're such a smart guy or gal, and you can sit back here and see how flawed a person is, then how can you help that flaw? How can you help him? If your captain is slightly forgetful, then how can you help him? Versus throwing in his face that he's forgetful, why don't you help him? If your captain gets a little frustrated at times, then how can you sit back here and diffuse the frustration, diffuse the situation? Why don't you try to help the ailment versus inflame and tear down the ailment and exploit the ailment? That's the hate in us. That's the black-hearted nature in us. That's that malignity and maliciousness in us. And based on that, I'm going to read Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 and verse 4. For into a malicious soul, maliciousness is malignant and malevolent spirit, into a malevolent soul, wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject to sin. The Spirit is not going to be with you until you learn to assist in your captain's or your husband's or your wife's scenario and be what they need you to be. Versus being Captain Obvious and just saying something that everybody in the damn building knows. They have a flaw. That's why I'm going to lock into them. That mindset also connects to those people that Christ said he is going to slay. Because they're so fixated on what the flaw is to justify their lack of servitude versus understanding if I'm really a servant, let me adjust to the needs of the body, to the needs of my captain. If we really gave a damn about the Bible and we gave a damn about what we say that we gave our life to, then be about what you talk about. Why sit back here and come 3 or 4 days a week to class if you're not going to make the necessary adjustments to please Christ? Let Solomon go and go back to Galatians chapter 4 and verse 15.
Galatians.
This is very important to focus on. Read that.
Galatians chapter 4 verse 15. Where is then the blessedness ye spake of?
That blessedness that the church in Galatia had the express capability to do was, read on.
For I bear you record that if it had been possible, ye would have plucked out your own eyes and had given them to me.
And I'm just recapping this. If you're really in the spirit of Christ, instead of judging, condemning, scorning, or contemning somebody for what they don't have, if you love them, if you're a brother like you say you are, you will do what's necessary to fill in the hole or deficiency that you have to care for them, and still simultaneously respect them and their position at the same time. That's the spirit of love, and that's the spirit of brotherhood, which most of us don't have. And that's why the spirit ain't with us. And with that, we'll have class on Wednesday. Shalom, Israel. Talk to y'all soon.